Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So the sell side was dominant in the early part of the overnight session, pushing ES down to 26 quarter, where responsive buyers stepped in. At this point, heading into the open, our short-term bias continues to be neutral, but we know that the sell side is more dominant as long as ES is holding below 35 to 37. And off the open, we would have to see continued broad market weakness and sustained downside momentum in order to get a sustained move below 25.5 to 27.5. Now, because our short-term bias is still neutral, we can still expect responsive buyers to be active at the support areas below, near the 2120 quarter naked VPOC and the 1675 to 1875 support, as well as the larger time frame support at 0775 to 1075 in the event of a more extended move lower. On the upside, the 35 to 37 area is really the primary resistance on the day. If we can take that area out on the upside, then at least it would signal that buyers are starting to step back in, and this is not as bearish as it may seem based on yesterday's price action and the overnight price action. Above that, we have resistance at 40 to 41, and a breakout above 40 to 41 would really cement and strengthen that idea that buyers are really stepping back in. And from there, we can test 44.5 to 46.5 and potentially 48.75 to 49.75, although we would have to see broad market strength and sustained upside momentum in order for those upper areas of resistance to come into play. So off the open, what we're really trying to determine is whether there is enough weakness and downside momentum to continue holding the S&P below 35 to 37 and go for a test of 23 quarter, 20 quarter, and 1675 to 1875. Keep an eye on the other markets as well. Russell has been the weaker market so far, so if TF is not selling off the open and it continues to hold its overnight range or its overnight VPOC around 1207, then that's a signal, because if the weakest market can't head any lower, then it is going to be tougher for the stronger markets to head lower from here as well. NASDAQ has been the stronger market so far, so we want to see some strength coming into NQ. Now, with Apple being down 3%, maybe a little bit more off the open, that can certainly put a little more pressure on NQ. But the Russell, I think, can be a pretty good tell at this point because it's already tested some pretty decent support. And if it fails to hold its overnight low, then that would be a signal that S&P could be headed for at least a test of 23 quarter and quite possibly 20 quarter and 1675 to 1875, where responsive buyers can then again step back in and be active at least on first test. So again, our short-term bias is neutral. We are open to a move in either direction with the understanding that the sell side is dominant below 35 to 37, and that's really the zone that will need to be taken out in order for buyers to signal that they are indeed stepping back into the market. So those are the main ideas. Let's see how the market responds to initial resistance and initial support. Keep an eye on the other markets as well, and we'll take it from there.